The Middle East and Eastern Europe are once again at the heart of growing conflict and high-stakes diplomacy. In Gaza City, the Israeli military has launched an intense ground and aerial offensive, engulfing the city in fire and hardship. Around 500,000 civilians remain trapped amid bombardment, facing a worsening humanitarian emergency. Meanwhile, at the crossroads of Europe's fragile peace, the United Kingdom has summoned the Russian ambassador following serious violations of NATO airspace by Russian drones. The deployment of UK fighter jets and massive joint military exercises between Russia and Belarus signal rising tensions that could reshape regional security. How will this unfolding crises redefine alliances and security in two critical theaters of conflict? This episode explores the human cost and strategic stakes in Gaza and NATO's eastern borders. Welcome to In Focus. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is playing a critical role amid the escalating conflict in Gaza. During his visit to Israel on September 15th, Rubio reiterated Washington's unwavering support for Israel's military operations aimed at dismantling Hamas's control of Gaza City. According to Axios, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is playing a critical role amid the escalating conflict in Gaza. During his visit to Israel on September 15th, Rubio reiterated Washington's unwavering support for the Israeli military operations in Gaza City. Rubio also underscored the urgency of a ceasefire, warning that time is running out for a negotiated settlement. Following his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, Rubio traveled to Qatar, urging the Gulf state to maintain its constructive role despite tensions sparked by Israeli strikes on Hamas leaders in Doha. The U.S. also pledged strong support for Qatar's security. Rubio stressed the limited window available to reach an agreement. Washington's stance clearly supports Israel's objectives while pushing for diplomatic efforts to end the fight swiftly. To unpack the devastating Israeli military operation in Gaza City, the unfolding humanitarian crisis, and the delicate diplomatic efforts by the United States to mediate a ceasefire through Qatar, joining us from Cairo is Ahmed Sultan, a regional security terrorism researcher, as his insights help us navigate the complexities on the ground and the regional ramifications. Welcome, sir. Sir, can I start off by asking you what are the actual, real main objectives of the Israelis when it comes to the ground offensive in Gaza? And how does the Israeli government justify the timing right now?
Yes, when it comes to Israel's latest goals, they are aiming to take over Gaza and divide the south part of the city from the north one, and their long-term goal is to displace the civilians forcefully or peacefully from the Gaza Strip to other countries. And this plan isn't complete yet, and the USA and other organizations are a part of it, like the Tony Blair. And Tony Blair met with Trump in the White House in the end of August, and now Israel started this operation to destroy what's left of Gaza and to take it forcefully and move the Palestinians and displace them to the south, because the next step is to start founding 3 new cities in the south and having only a part of the Palestinians move there after some safety measures, so that there are no gaps for the Palestinian resistance to. So there is no nothing that they can do in Qnews and Gaza and Rafah as well, and so this doesn't follow the international laws, and Israel wants to justify it by saying that they will have the Palestinians displaced peacefully, and this is a breach of the Palestinians' rights in their lands, and it also justifies it because of Hamas. But actually, Hamas is over. They have lost. They don't have their military infrastructure, and what's rest of it aren't really working properly, and it doesn't even need that much military and soldiers to try and take it down, because we only have two small groups in northern Gaza that are operating right now, group 162 and 192, which is famous for firing, and so this force is way larger than the smaller groups of Palestinians in northern Gaza. But Israel has all these soldiers for the plan of displacing the Palestinians and not to free the hostages or and the resistance.
Well, Serena, as you said, that the real objectives here are not necessarily to, help the captives get out of captivity, basically. But what are the implications of Israel's military objectives on, as you said, both Hamas being, weakened, and on Gaza City itself, as well as the civilians living there?
Of course, there are consequences for this attack on the civilians in Gaza. Israel sends them posts from planes and telling them to go to the south. And how can they go to the south without transportation? And where do they go if the south is already full? There are new tents or any place that they could stay. It has overflowed, actually, and so the Palestinian people in the north, in the Gaza Strip, have to stay, not because they want to die, but because anyways they're going to die. If they don't die of strikes, they will die of starvation that Israel is doing. They are now in a mass famine. There is a mass famine in Gaza Strip right now, and on top of that, there is no place for any new displaced people in the south, and so these are catastrophic consequences on these Palestinian civilians. And on the other hand, the hostages, the Israeli hostages, they are less than 20 that are alive right now, and so Tel Aviv has took a decision on the first day when they started their operations on the 8th of October 2020, is getting rid of these hostages or detainees if they if they act as an obstacle in the way for Israel to reach its goals. And so the detainees are just some card that they use to justify what they are doing, and actually they hope to get rid of them because they are causing them some kind of pressure right now. And I think that really soon we will hear about the killing of lots of them, because the mass strike will lead to this eventually.
Well, so there's certainly a lot of opposition within the Israeli top officials, basically, regarding this military operation. Now, what risks did the top military brass bring up when it comes to this operation, especially the intelligence chiefs, and why isn't Netanyahu heeding these warnings?
The resistance right now doesn't live up to the level that we need to keep on with the counter operations. And so here the military the military has taken over, and now it's the opposite in Gaza. The political situation is what's governing here. Oppositions are done because Israeli military are aware that they have ended Hamas, and Hamas are no real threat right now. They went back like 4 decades, and to come back strong again and as a strong resistance group again, they have so that will happen over a long time. I'm not talking only about on the military level, but even like politically and to organize themselves. And everyone in Israel now are aware that they have reached their goals. They ended Hamas, and Israel has taken the largest number of detainees. And so here, Hamas is weakened, and there is no point of having this much soldiers in Gaza right now. But Netanyahu has the dream of greater Israel and taking over all the Palestinian lands, and so this. In order for this to happen, they need to take over Gaza, and so this is what this extremist country thinks. And so right now, Israel has reached its goals, and they don't have anything that they are looking forward to right now. They can reach an agreement to release the detainees, but Netanyahu doesn't want this to happen because he is looking to a new goal, which is the greater Israel, and with the help of the USA.
Okay, so your point is clear there, but thank you so much for joining us. That was Ahmed Sultan, a regional security terrorism researcher. Thanks for your insights on Gaza streets, where war is immediate and the human suffering is visceral. We now shift north and east to skies over NATO's eastern borders, where the threat is less immediate to individual households, but no less fraught for security alliances and the fragile balance of power. What happens when drones cross lines, when exercises become signals, and when warnings are delivered through warplanes and rhetoric? Eastern Europe stands at a precarious crossroads as NATO and Russia escalate tensions following unprecedented Russian drone incursions into Polish and Romanian airspace. Economic Times stated that Times stated that in response, NATO launched Eastern Sentry, a military operation to strengthen its eastern flank, involving fighter jets and ground forces from the UK, France, Germany, Denmark, and Romania. The UK deployed RAF Typhoons to bolster Poland's air defences, joining allies determined to counter Russia. Moscow maintains it did not intentionally target NATO territories, attributing drone operations to the broader Ukraine conflict. However, NATO and its members condemn the incursions as reckless and deliberate breaches of international law. We're joined today by Paolo Mauri, a defense and geopolitics analyst, to bring us more expertise on NATO's response to the Russian airspace violations and the escalating military exercises involving Russia and Belarus. And welcome, sir, joining us. Thank you so much for joining us here on In Focus. Sir, firstly, let's start off by asking, what does the UK summoning of the Russian ambassador actually indicate about NATO-Russian relations right now?
Well, actually, UK is one of the biggest adversary of Russia. It always has been. UK is one of the main contributor to NATO defense. It's one of the main contributor to Ukraine security and weapon sending. So it's not new to me that UK has summoned the Russian ambassador. Relationship between UK and Russia have never been lower since the end of the Cold War. For instance, there are many cases of influence and Russian operation about secret services in the UK. Otherwise, we have the same kind of operation in Russia. So is really nothing new. The most important thing is the newly open mission of the NATO on the eastern side. It's about air defense, because we all know that some days ago, the Polish airspace was violated by Russian drones, and it was an action made on purpose, because right now we know that on these drones there were a supply tank integrated to prolong the range. There were, and probably there were some kind of SIM card from Poland and Lithuania to help them a very better control from the Russia.
So we'll get back to that, sir. But I just want to ask you. You said that the most significant thing here happening right now is the Sentry mission. Now, how significant is the deployment of RAFs, fighter jets, in NATO's Eastern Sentry mission? Is this something that's very important when it comes to the consequences?
Well, I think that is not that much important about the political consequences, but it's certainly a sign of the more involved UK in the security, providing of security on the eastern flank of the NATO. NATO, since long time, has the air policing in the eastern flank. From the starting of the war in 2002, NATO started the enhanced vigilance activity. It comes from all the partners in NATO. Italy is a contributor to this kind of vigilance in the Baltic states, in Romania, and so on. So it's simply the collective response of NATO that is coming out. This is because of the Zapad 2025 exercise. It's a big joint exercise between Russia and Belarus. We already know that in 2021, it triggers the mobilization of the many personnel. It was around 200,000 Russian personnel that were mobilized, and later they were used to invade Ukraine. That's why NATO is on high alert. That's why especially Poland is on high alert, and that's why Poland closes its border with Belarus.
So what kind of strategic message do you think that the Russians are trying to send with the Zapad 2025 military drills? And do you think that this could lead to some sort of heightened tensions and the possibility of an expansion of the war?
Well, let me just say that there are many messages in this exercise. First of all, let me say that it's not just a Russian and Belarus joint exercise, but there are many other countries, India as well. But on the other side, so this means that Russia is not isolated. Russia has a lot of allied on her side. But on the opposite, we have to know that right now there are the presence of US and Hungarian military observers at the Zapad exercise. So this is a little sign of de-escalating. It's just like Moscow is trying to say to Washington and to Europe, come and see what we are doing. Okay, so it's very important that this sign.
But I mean, sir, that now that there are joint as you said, this is come and see, but also there's exercises near NATO borders that include nuclear capable sort of.
Yep.
Does this create tension or friction, or maybe cause fear within the European hearts?
Well, okay, Russia is rattling the nuclear sabers since the beginning of this war. We all know. And we know that it's because the only clear deterrence Russia have is the nuclear deterrence, because conventional forces right now, okay, they're engaging in a big war, but conventional forces, they are not comparable to NATO conventional forces. So that's why Russia is subverting the nuclear threat. But it's usual for this kind of exercise, for Zapad exercise, that I'll let you know one more time. It occurred since 1999. It's usual to use nuclear forces. Russia showed this kind of part of the exercise in a very wide way, because we have noticed, we have seen pictures and little footage of Iskander SRBM in Belarus, in Kaliningrad, and whatever. But it's nothing new. It's certainly this threat is persistent in this year. But I personally don't see an escalating of a nuclear threat with this exercise.
That may be true, sir, but I mean, the fact that it is, yes, this is something that happens naturally, there's bad exercises, but it occurs at the same time as, these incursions within Poland and other countries, in Romania, for instance. Do you think that this might somehow rattle NATO or influence NATO's military posture and alliance when it comes to dealing with the current situation?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because it's like how can I say? It's heightening the security level to have another form of deterrence. So I don't see this kind of behavior escalating in a bad way. I don't think that things are gonna get worse.
Okay, well, then, since you've brought this up, if we could sort of look forward and see what might happen in the near future, for instance, how do you see it? Do you see that there is a possibility for de-escalation through diplomacy or sustained deterrence, or is there a potential for actual confrontation?
This is a very hard question to answer, because we all know that politics is the realm of possibility. And it's all about the willing of people, the willing of diplomacy. Right now, I see the US are kind of engaged to find an end to this war, but just because they have to reconcentrate their forces to the Asia theater to confront China. It's all about us Europeans to deter Russia right now. Right now, things between European and Russia are not quite well, as you can see. But I think that further escalation leading to a total war, it remains a possibility, but it's right now it's a faraway possibility. Just let me finish the reasoning. I think that there's gonna be peace only when one of the two enemies, Russia or Ukraine, will gain their strategic targets. I don't think that Ukraine will be able to in Crimea and all the occupied territory. And I don't think that Russia will be able to demilitarize Ukraine to occupy all the other territories that she want to occupy. For example, Kharkiv, Kherson, and even on the Odessa Oblast. So it's going to be a stalemate.
Well, sir, as you said, that each side of this conflict wants very incompatible things. But do you think that there could be a role for mediation or diplomatic channels to somehow temper the military tensions, like, the US interfering in this?
Yeah, there's always a path to diplomatic talks between the parties. So I hope that when the military power, the military force, it will be weak on both sides, then we'll come together and talk about peace. It's just my hope.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. That was Paolo Mauri, defense and geopolitics analyst. Thank you for your insights and thank you for joining us, sir. Today, we witnessed two conflict epicenters, Gaza, where the humanitarian toll is severe, and Eastern Europe, where military maneuvers risk broader escalation, both highlighting a fragile peace and urgent diplomatic needs to protect lives and prevent further devastation. As these crises unfold, the central question remains: can the international community bridge divides and foster peace, or will conflict continue to spread? The answers will shape regional and global security. That's it for now, and this was In Focus. I'm Rehan Morsi. Thank you for watching.